To many observers of India sitting in foreign lands and even a section of the middle class and chattering classes in India, the proceedings in the Gyanvapi Masjid row would appear as if all parties in the dispute, or at least one side, has had a stroke of the heat wave we are experiencing in many parts of the country. And when that calamity falls on a person, it would be understandable that they would behave in a bizarre manner. I will not hazard a guess which side is acting in a delirium. I will only say that a section of the opposition, a large section of the Muslim leadership in the country, and the always ready to oppose Modi left liberals in the country are united in their belief that the BJP under Modi is out to get the Muslims and even reduce them to second-class citizenry devoid of rights, even the right of worship in peace. All this narrative, well, we know about it. It is a story that has been told 1,000 times. How about something new? How about the fact that dispassionately and with a clear head and logic, we look at why these masjid sites are increasingly coming in the crosshairs of dispute and contention. Maybe even understand why the courts are taking an interest in such matters. And maybe in the process understand the true meaning of the right to worship in a free and unshackled manner. I will expand on these themes, but first, a warm welcome to all viewers of the CAA show. CAA, as all of you know, is Conversations and Analysis, and my name is Juggi Bhasin. To watch our show regularly, press the big red subscriber button on your screen. Subscription is, of course, completely free. Now, let us understand the issue at hand. Yes, the Gyanvapi issue is about the right to worship and which community gets to do that. But it is much more than that. It is also about the rearrangement of history. It is about providing justice to wrongdoing in the past. It is about introducing a new template where all communities have the right to worship in peace and tranquility without treading on the legitimate rights and religious feelings of other communities. Let me give you a few pointers from international history to buttress the point. We all know, for instance, what happened in Auschwitz in Germany. The Nazi regime, and in particular the Gestapo, slaughtered tens and thousands of innocent Jews in this notorious camp. Today, the shell of Auschwitz is retained by Germany as a site to warn mankind of the horrors of the past and drive home the point that there will be no more Auschwitz in the future. The Germans have outlawed the usage of Nazi symbols and any kind of glorification of the Hitler years and his regime. This is how countries burnt in the fire of hate and then risen again, as it were, from the ashes, rearrange history. Similarly, look at the new movement all across Europe and America. The statues of former colonizers and slave traders and oppressors of blacks are being brought down in country after country. Even the man who, in a sense, discovered America, Christopher Columbus, has come under a cloud. The indigenous people of America think of him as a colonizer and as a tyrant who destroyed their way of life. History books once glorifying men like Columbus are being rewritten. In short, the process of rearrangement of history and providing justice centuries later is an ongoing process and a perfectly legitimate way of correcting the wrongs of time. We therefore must look at the Gyanvapi mosque dispute in this light. There is no question about the fact that Aurangzeb razed temples to the ground, slaughtered thousands to build mosques and extend the suzerainty of his faith. Much of what he did also occurred in this area. The question is not so much about whether a temple existed before the mosque. It is about delivering justice even centuries later and rearranging history. We have a right to worship, but there is no right set in stone that places of worship cannot be shifted, altered, or even demolished, as the case may be. Every day in our country, Charlatans construct temples and mosques in middle of the roads, busy thoroughfares, and intersections to fool the public and make a quick buck. And every day, municipal authorities raise these illegitimate structures to the ground. An illegitimate structure does not become holy, which cannot be touched or raised to the ground. The other question that arises from this dispute is that why are the armies of liberalism ever ready to do battle to defend symbols of oppression? Why are they so venomously defending the Gyanvapi mosque structure as it stands today? Could it be that in their years of governance, they were least concerned in lifting the vast Muslim minority in our country out of poverty? Could it be that they can only offer the community a kind of perverted pleasure of defending structures from the past built on the edifice of slaughtered Hindu communities? Could it be that the liberals are saying we cannot give you anything in the present, but are more than happy that you are entrapped in the vainglory and bloody history of the Mughal rulers and ancient Islamic rulers of Hindustan who prevailed over Hindus at that time with a level of barbarity unheard of? Isn't this emotion and sentiment at play here? The same liberals who never tire of preaching to the government to emulate the West in terms of human rights and democracy can only offer the Muslim population in India a continuance of past symbols of bloody history and the subjugation of other communities. The fact of the matter is that no self-respecting country in the present will allow symbols of hate and bigotry and violence to survive and flourish in the present. India might have woken up late to this worldwide trend, but now there is no turning back on the will to raise all that once suppressed and subjugated us. The courts are also seized of the matter, and it is not a BJP matter, but a matter that concerns all right-thinking citizens of the country. Once again, it is worth repeating. We have a right to worship, but not a right to a place of worship, especially those structures built illegally or on the edifice of the blood and suffering of others. And so, on this note, I come to the end of this episode of the CAA show. I hope you really enjoyed this episode. Keep watching our show. And on this note, it's goodbye and cheers from my end.